Okay, so for this project, we are going to be making a tote bag. And I have a tote bag that I got from Cricut. This is just an Infusible ink compatible tote bag. You can use any of the tote bags or whatever you're going to put it on that is good for sublimation. It is a high polyester count, so you need something for the Infusible ink to adhere to it so that your colors are vibrant. I'm using my Cricut Explorer Air 2. You need a standard grip mat, your brayer, your weeding tools, some black HTV or whatever color you choose to use, some butcher paper. This is the Infusible ink that I'm going to be using. If you have another kind that you like or another color, you can do that. Need a lint roller. I've got some cardstock that we're going to put on the inside of our tote bag to make sure that the colors don't bleed through. I've got some heat tape. You need your heat source. I'm going to be using a Cricut Easy Press. You need a heat resistant mat and a Teflon sheet. But I think that's it. So let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you how to create this fun tote bag. Okay, so here we are inside of Design Space, and when you bring your designs in on your canvas, they're going to come in and they're going to look really big, so we're going to go ahead and just resize this. And let me just explain a few things before we get started here. If you've followed me for a while or you've checked out my website, you know that I love to do subway art designs. And typically, I like to explain why I do things the way that I do. Meaning, if you look over here on the Layers panel, you can see that all of these are not grouped or attached. And the reason that I do that, when I design, I like to be able to give you the freedom to change things around. If you want to take a word out, put a word in. Like, for example, if you wanted to personalize something, like I have a grandparent one on my website. Again, it's free. You can check it out over there if you want to. But you can take a part out and you can add a child's name in. So I like to be able to give you ways that you can personalize things or change words if you want to, change the colors. So the reason that I did not attach all of these is if you wanted to come in and change the colors of your wording, you could do that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I am going to ungroup this. And down here you can see you have different words that I've added where you can change out the word vacation. And you could, say, slip the word honeymoon in here, or family trip, or girls trip, or you could type out a different word if you wanted to. If you want to know the name of this font, I'll make sure that I leave it linked on my website for you. I'm also a font hoarder, so as you can see in this design, there's tons of fonts, and I love to let people know the names of the fonts because I always want to know what the name of the font is in a design, so I assume that everyone else wants to know too. So along with the rest of the freebies on my website, you'll always be able to find the names of the fonts that I used and the links to where you can find them. So for this one, also, if you don't want to put in the year, you don't have to. So you could put in here, let's say you wanted to do, I don't know, if it was for a wedding, if you wanted to do somebody's name in here, or if you didn't even want to put this on a tote bag, if you wanted to make it into a frame, you could do that. But I just wanted to show you, that's why there is nothing attached here. But for the purpose of this design, I am going to attach everything. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave in vacation in 2024. And these right here, I'm just going to go ahead and group again, and I'm going to hide these because I do not need them. So I am going to grab all of this, and I'm just going to come down here, and I'm going to click Attach. So what that does, if you have not seen that before, if I did not attach it, let me just go ahead and show you here. Okay, so this is not attached now. So you'll see if you don't attach it, all of your words are everywhere and you're going to have to place them individually. So that's why you want to attach before you make anything. So let's cancel this. So let's go back here again. I'm going to grab all of this and I'm going to attach it. Now for your background, so the first thing I want to do here is I want to actually make sure I get this the right size before we go any further. I want to center this up. And my background, I'm going to make that, leaving this locked right here. I'm going to come in here and I want to make this 10 inches wide. Okay, so now I'm going to take my design and I'm going to put it over it to where I think it looks good. You can make it bigger or smaller. So that right there, that looks pretty good to me. I'm just going to grab all of them and I'm going to align it and I want to center it to make sure that it looks okay. Okay, so now I want to take this and I want to move it to the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this into 4 different pieces because I want to use 4 different colors for the Infusible ink that I'm going to use. Now you absolutely do not have to put a background on here. You could do just this and, like I said, change the colors or leave it the way that it is and put it on a tote bag. Whatever makes you happy. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this so that there's not so much on there. And I just grabbed a square, and I'm going to make this square 10.97 wide. And then obviously I want to unlock it because I want it to be smaller. I'm going to change this to a guide so I can see through it here. And I'm going to make these probably, and I want to leave this unlocked now, because if you lock it again, it will be proportioned to the size. Meaning if I lock this, and then let's say I change this to 3.5, the whole thing's going to change, and I don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and unlock this again. And I want to do about, let's do about 2.45. Not much of a difference, but it'll make a difference for me. Okay, so now I'm going to duplicate this. I want 4 different sections here. So I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to bring it down and just line it up here. We're going to use the align tool in a minute, but I'm just going to line this up so I can make sure that I have 4 on here. It's kind of hard to grab when it's a guide, so if you need to turn it back to a basic cut, you can. And let's duplicate this one, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to line it up here. All right, and I'm going to grab all 4 of these and align and center horizontally. Okay, so now I know those are centered. I'm probably going to end up moving it over a little bit just so I can see it a little bit better here. This needs to go up a little bit. I can see that right there. So just by touching it, and I'm going to hit my arrow key just to bring it up a little. So just by going through and kind of eyeballing it, if you want it to be closer, you can. So if you want to, you actually can grab all of these and then come up and just strip it vertically, and then you know that they're spaced individually. So I think that looks pretty good. I wanted to make sure when I slice them out, because we are going to slice these out, I don't want this bottom one down on here. Just to make it easier when I went to weed it, I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any little pieces that were stuck underneath it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all these, and I want to come back and I want to do basic cut again, because I'm going to slice them. And what I want to do, let's go ahead and bring this back a little bit so we can see. I move this over. I always like to make a copy just for if I have to go back for whatever reason. So I'm going to hit my Alt button, and I'm just going to make a copy of this. And I'm going to group it and just leave it on the side. Okay, so now bring this to the front just so it's up here. I want to take this blue square, hit my shift button, and grab this gray one right here and click slice. Okay, so now I know that that is slice. I can delete that. And I can delete this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and change this to red because that's the first color that I'm going to put on there. Now I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to grab the next square and slice and do the same thing. I'm just going to delete that one. This one I want to turn yellow. And I'm going to grab this and the next one and slice. Wrong one here. Make sure I hit the right one. I confuse myself when I do this. Okay, so this and slice. This is going to be blue. Yeah, we're going to leave that one blue. And then the bottom one, this one and this one, slice. Delete. This one's going to be purple. Okay. And then we can delete that. Make sure, yes, this can be deleted. I think we have all our colors. We got one left over here. Delete that. Okay, so you can look on your panel to make sure that you have everything you need. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to group this. And I want to put this, bring it to the front. Okay, and I'm just going to align center. Okay, so now when we go to cut this, these 4 pieces are going to be cut separate. this is going to be on top. So I'm going to press my Infusible ink first, and then I'm going to put the HTV on top of it. So one other thing I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and hide this. I want to take this and I'm going to make a copy of it. Oops, wrong button. I do that a lot too. Duplicate. Okay. This is going to be my design that I know this is the way it's supposed to look. This, because the Infusible ink and the HTV both need to be mirrored, to make it easier on myself, I'm just going to go ahead and flip this. So now I don't have to mirror it. It's all ready to go. But the reason that I duplicated this is I want to take a picture of this. This right here with my phone, so that when I go to line it up on my tote bag, I can look at this and see which way the colors are supposed to go. It may sound easy for you, but when I tried to line it up, I could not remember which way they went, especially when I got down to these two here, because they both were straight lines, where obviously you can tell which one this is on the bottom, and you can tell it was the top. Just to make it easier on your brain and on mine, I like to take a picture of this. So using my phone, I'll take a picture of that. So now, let's go ahead and save this. Make sure you have the right machine selected. I am using my Explorer Air 2, so this one here is what I'm going to choose. Okay, we're going to click Make It. And now you can see all the pieces that we have sliced. They're all the individual pieces of Infusible ink that we're going to cut. I'm going to slice mine down. My Infusible ink sheet is 12 inches wide, so I'm just going to cut them 12 inches wide by about 3 inches high on each one of them. So with the Infusible ink, and if you have followed me before, I like to take my elements and put them onto one mat. So what I will do is move this down here and click this little button and move it onto this mat. And then I just need to remember that this piece right here is red. This one needs to be yellow, and then I'll move this one so that'll be blue. And then I'll just use another mat for the purple one. But I like to, like I said, move them onto one mat. It just speeds up the process when you're making something. Okay, so then I would click Continue. And I am using, like I said, the Explorer Air 2, and there is a dial on top of my machine that says Custom, so I have it turned to Custom. And browse all materials, and then you're just going to click in Infusible ink. And this is the one that you're going to select. If you have the regular, like a Maker or whatever machine that you're using, and you don't have that dial, you'll still just type this in and you'll find what you need. And this is going to tell you to make sure that you mirrored it, but because we've flipped it on the screen, you don't need to mirror your any of your design, your Infusible ink or your HTV. Just remember, when you cut your Infusible ink, just like with your HTV, the shiny side goes down. So that means with your Infusible ink, your color is going to be facing up. Shiny side down, color is going to be up. So that's the setting that I'm going to put it on, and I am going to put this on More. Fine point blade is what we're using. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out, and then after I cut that, I'll come back and I will cut out the HTV. So let's go ahead and get that cut out, and then I will show you how to get it all assembled. Okay, so here are the Infusible ink sheets. It shows you I have them all 3 different colors. And I want to take my brayer and I want to run over them to make sure they're adhered well. And make sure, remember that the shiny side goes down the bottom and the color part goes up. So my dial is set to Custom. Go ahead and load this in. And hit the little button so that it cuts. Load your mat. And we're going to flip this over to get it to come off. Okay, and now I'm going to get my HTV loaded or on my mat so we can get that cut. Make sure you have your shiny side down. Go ahead and close this up because we don't need that anymore. And then we're going to take the vinyl off the mat. Okay, this is what's going to take the longest of your whole project, is cutting this out and weeding it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to take out this infusible ink. Okay, so you just want to crack it, and you can see how it's kind of releasing here. And you're just going to bend that over and then pull that off. I'm going to set that aside while I weed my vinyl. Go into your corner, push down, and then pull back so your carrier sheet is showing. Now typically HTV is easier to weed obviously than adhesive vinyl, and you can usually just pull, but you always want to be careful. Sometimes, especially if your HTV is older, your sheet can rip, and that can cause your vinyl to rip. So you always want to be careful when you're weeding any kind of vinyl. So I like to pull back, and then sometimes I'll even cut pieces off. And another trick is to make sure that picture that you took, you want to make sure that you bring that up so you can see which parts to weed, especially on these parts with the glasses and the camera. Sometimes it's hard to remember which part you want to weed out. And if you weed it out, and then you're going to have to cut it all over again, and you're going to wish that you had paid attention to your picture. Okay, we've got all that weeded. Clean up my mess here. And I'm going to get my Easy Press warming up. For the infusible ink, we need 385. For 40 seconds. Okay, let that warm up. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my design here and make sure I didn't miss any pieces or have any vinyl sticking to it. I always like to hold it up to the light to make sure that I didn't miss anything. It's the inside of my A's. Okay, I think I got it all. So we'll go ahead and get set up so that we can put our infusible ink on. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to do a pre-press on our tote bag. Move that over so we can see. So you want to make sure you have your heat pad down. And I've taken my tote bag out of the package, obviously, and you can see that it has some wrinkles in here. We're going to do a pre-press to help smooth that out and to get the moisture out of here. And also, you don't want to press on your seams, so try to get those out of the way. And we're going to lint roll it. I'm just going to go ahead and lint roll it first. I want to make sure you do that. If you don't lint roll, there's a possibility you can have little specks in your design. Okay, and also, you want to stick some cardstock inside your bag so that the ink doesn't bleed through. And if it does bleed through, it will hit the cardstock instead of the other side of your bag. So I like to use 2 pieces. Doesn't need to be for very long, just to get it warmed up. Okay. And then we're going to figure where we want our design. Okay, now I have my heat tape out. And this is where I was talking about making sure you have a picture on your phone, because you want to get it lined up the right way. So as you can see, you can follow what it looks like on here. So I just like to set that in front of me. And my first one is going to be the red one. Make sure your color side goes down. Oops, and it goes this way. See, I've already done it wrong. And I like to measure this about 5 inches from the top. I think that's good enough. Okay, I'm going to put my heat tape on here. Alright, and then on top of that, I'm going to put a piece of butcher paper. And then we're going to put our heat press on for 40 seconds. That off. And there's the first one. And then next we're going to do the yellow one. Okay, and this is where I need to see, make sure I line it up correctly. And this one goes this way. Now because there's already color on here, I'm going to get another piece of cardstock. And I just want to put this underneath here. Don't really necessarily know if it's necessary, but it'll make me feel better. So I'm just putting it on the color that's already down. And then we're going to do our butcher paper again and do it for another 40 seconds. There's no ink on my butcher paper, so it's okay to use. If you have ink that came through, you don't want to use it again. So you can see where the ink came through on the other side. So I'm just going to cut that off. So I don't want to take any chance of transferring any kind of ink on what I've already done. Set that aside, and we're going to do the next one. Okay, before I pull that off, I'm going to take my heat press and drop this down to 320 degrees. So whatever your manufacturer calls for your HTV, you want to make sure that you are dropping that to the correct time and temperature. Mine is 320 for 20 seconds. And it's going to take a little while for it to drop down. But go ahead and let that drop down while we pull this off of here. I'm just going to leave that cardstock inside of there, and our design is going to go on top of this. And like I said, that's going to cool down, and then we're going to push this right on here. Okay, this is cooled down. It took quite a while for it to cool down, so if you're using one of these, just keep that in mind. So I'm just going to go ahead and line this up to what looks good. You don't really need heat tape for this, but if you feel like you want to put some on, you can. And I'm going to put this butcher paper over it just for the simple fact that there is ink on here and I don't want the ink getting on my heat press. So I have the butcher paper, and then I'm putting a Teflon sheet on top of this. And I'm going to press it for 20 seconds. May need to add a little bit more time to it, just depends on how it looks when I lift it up, so let's go ahead and do that. I would do firm pressure for this. HTV takes a little longer, or a little more pressure to get to stick, so you want to make sure you've got firm pressure on it. I like to put my whole body weight on it. And I'm going to check it, and then I might need to press it again. Just pull up the corner real slow. Yep, and a little bit longer, especially in that corner right there. I'm going to pull it up really slow. And there we go. Turn that off. Got herself a cute little travel bag. Okay guys, that's it. Our craft project is complete. What'd you think? Did you enjoy using the Infusible ink? This was my first time using it, and I'm going to tell you, I really love it. I love how it sits behind the HTV and really makes the design pop. If you're not comfortable slicing out the 4 different colors, they do have Infusible ink sheets that are really colorful that you can use. Just one sheet. This was the first one that I did, and I think it turned out really cute. So if you're not comfortable slicing those out, you can go ahead and try just the full transfer sheets. If you guys make the tote bags, I would love for you to check out my Facebook group. I have a great group of crafters, drama-free. We'd love to laugh, have a good time, share freebies in the group. Before I say goodbye, I would like to invite you to check out my website. I have a full list of the supplies that we used in today's workshop and the links to where you can find all the fonts that I use, because like I said, I'm a font hoarder, font lover. Call me what you like, I love fonts, so I assume that everyone else likes them too. So all of the designs that you find on my website, all the free SVGs, I always leave the links to the fonts that I used. You can find this week's freebie in the freebie library. It is design number 237. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you. Have a great day.